Hey guys, it's Pliskin. It's been a while since I've sat down and talked face to face to you through the camera. Well, anyway, I kind of made this video today to address a problem I found with a round out of a box of Perfecta. Okay, this was my first round, or my first box of Perfecta I bought. This is the one I did the first Perfecto ammo video on. And I finally got around the other day to shooting all 20 rounds. We lost 3 of the brass. I'll have to go back out to the cabin and find them. But in my previous video, in the first part of it, you can see where the bullet went wrong. What happened is here's the one that failed. I'm going to call this the Perfecta bullet fail. See? This is it, and then here's what a Perfecta bullet should look like. Notice the knurling there right above the rim of the case. There's a name for that. I can't ever remember it, so I'm just going to call it knurling. But what happened is this case here has not been sized properly. As you can tell, it has sunk into the case. So I went and looked at all my other boxes of Perfecta and checked all the bullets, made sure they were all seated properly, like pushing my finger on the bullets to see if they would sink in like this. None of them did. This may be a freak thing. So I'm just kind of doing this as a precaution to you guys. It happened to me. It might happen to you. I would, if I were you, I'd look into it. Or check your ammo. I mean, it may not be that big of a deal, but still, you just can't take the risk. That's why I didn't shoot it out of my M1, M14, M1A, because according to my dad, he said it would create a high pressure round because of that bullet being down farther into the case. I'm not sure if that would happen. I really don't want to find out, not in my M14. So I'll let him handle it. He has a lot more experience in handling defunct rounds like this than I do. So I'll let him look at it. I think he said we might pull it and just use it for reloading. I don't know. But in other news, I am now at that magic number of the needed money to get a scope mount, so I'll be ordering that either sometime this week or next week sometime. I may not film the installation, but I will definitely film what it looks like afterwards. So I'm excited for that. I can finally scope my M14 and start working up a load for it to get it shooting tighter groups at longer distances and things of that nature. I haven't forgot about the Perfecta black box. I will shoot that sometime. I will test that out for you guys. I'm curious to see what those 150 grain bullets will do too. And but yeah, that's what's going on. Getting that scope mount soon. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, we're going to put the Redfield Revolution on it from my dad's 4570 because me and him, we don't need it no more. He don't need his 4570 and I don't need my H&R 44 Magnum 223. That about sums it up on that. Getting that in. Speaking of Friday, my buddy, he got to shoot my M1 for the first time, my M1A. And I really wish the camera had caught his reaction to it because it was priceless. He just turned around, his face was like that. It was hilarious. And his first words were, "Dude, it feels like a 223. It shoots like a 223." That is what all of my friends have ever said after shooting my M14. Their first response when they turn back around to me and say is, "Dude, it recoils like a 223." And it really does. It really does recoil like a 223 because that gas system takes a lot of the oomph out of the rearward recoil. And not to mention it's the national match barrel, so it doesn't have a lot of rearward flex. It mostly, when I've noticed when I shoot it, it mostly jerks upward and to the right. Upward and to the right. It does come back, but it's nothing like say like the Mauser or my dad's 308. Which me and him have recently went out and tested some more 168 grain bullets in his rifle, and he was getting about sub M1A at 100 yards. And then we worked up a load for my 243, and it got sub M1A to half M1A, I think. I'm sitting here looking at the board. It got .910 on one group. That's under an inch, so that's pretty good. We're getting it worked out. I didn't film that. As you guys know, I don't film every facet of what goes on. I mean, I don't take the camera with me every time I go to the range. I shoot more than I film, put it that way. I go to the range quite a lot here and there with my dad. I don't film all of it because most of the time we're just testing out hand loads, and filming that ain't going to be nothing but entertainment, because our hand loads aren't going to help you, because every gun's different and what works for our guns may not work for yours. So I don't really film when we go to test hand loads. I do sometimes I do, but most of the time I don't. But yeah, so we're getting my 243 straightened out and getting the scope mount from my M1A. Speaking of my M1A, I may need to get another bipod for it. Simply because this set screw here, see it? That set screw there comes loose when it's shooting, and the bipod rocks back and forth under here pretty bad. It's not doing it now because I've got it tightened down, but when we was out there Friday, out at the cabin shooting this in the prone position, I don't think I filmed it, but I was laying down shooting this, and that set screw would slowly start coming loose, and this bipod would rock back and forth very violently. So if it keeps doing that, I might have to look into something else, and that would be alright, because this would free this up for my dad's rifles if he ever wanted to use it, and I'd have my own personal bipod. That's nothing new with that bipod either. I mean, it does that on all the guns. I think a lot of it has to do with it being on my dad's Encore for so many years, and he had to basically not super glue it, but just like compress it on there, because there was like he had to make a leather spacer for his Encore, and just like Gorilla Glue tighten it up there. Not really Gorilla Glue, I'm just saying that, but he had to just wrench it on the other side of that Encore, and it stayed there for about 5 or 6 years, maybe longer than that. Hell, maybe in 15 or 16 years, I don't know. It's been off and on all sorts of guns. It's been off and on my Mauser, his 270, I believe, and 25-06, the Encore, of course, his Encore in the 4570 configuration. It's just been on all of our guns at one point or another. Our primary guns. It ain't been on all of them, but most of them. And it might be wearing out. It's a pretty old bipod. So if I have to get a new one of that, I will. I'll get maybe one with longer legs. Longer legs where it's not adjustable, or where it's not adjusted, where these themselves are longer. Might get them like an inch longer or something like that. I think these are 6-inch. Yeah. I have to look and see. I'll have to see how this one performs. as we go forward. Because if it keeps getting loose in the field where it just rattles, it will be it kind of defeats the point of it being a bipod. Stabilize the weapon, but if it rocks forward back and forth all the time after you shoot it 10 or 12 times out in the field, it's pretty defunct. Well, anyway, I kind of figured this has kind of been a what's been going on type thing. I haven't sat here and talked with you guys in a while, and simply because I haven't had the time. I've had to go to graduation parties for friends and relatives. Was at a pool party Saturday night, and then June 10th I've got a big bonfire I'm going to with all my friends. So things are taking up time, but that's alright. I might film at the bonfire, I don't know. Depends on what we're going to do. But yeah, I mean, I've been putting up gun videos. That's all I've had time to really put up. I finally cut a break here to talk face to face with you guys. So anyway, that's been it. I mainly just wanted to cover the Perfecta bullet problem, but I figured I'd let y'all know what else is going on, like getting the scope mount and all that. If you guys buy a box of Perfecta, make sure to check and see if all of your bullets are sized properly. It's a good thing I didn't shoot that in my M1. I mean, it may not have done anything, but again, I don't want to take that chance, because high pressure loads in a M14 may not bulge so well because of that gas system. And again, I may be wrong. I'm not claiming to know whether or not it would blow up my gun, but again, I don't want to try. So that's just me. I figured I'd give you all a heads up on that. Well, this has been Pliskin. I'll see you all in the next video.